like this one. And I don't have as much of an agenda as I do for like some of my other master classes. I more just wanted to like speak with you guys and whoever else joins about where you're at with your online business and like what you're thinking in terms of sales, because I've been doing a lot of like research on what people are doing right now and like things that ways that we can sell. And yeah, I've just got some ideas. So just curious if you guys want to talk about like if you are trying to sell anything, what you're trying to create. Kevin, do you want to go first?
Yeah, it's sort of like I guess I was already before the um, what's the word? Social distancing happened. Already in a bit of a rethinking phase. So this whole thing has led to me just really sort of thinking about that a lot. I guess I would say my business has been freelance audio work and stuff, and the thing I was working on was my Patreon, which last year I started to get in a good place with it. I was actually making some decent monthly income from it. Um, but last year just got really really busy towards the second half of the year, and kind of just something had to give, and it ended up being like my streaming, and then it kind of fell apart a little bit, or it's still up there, but I just wasn't maintaining it, and and now that the content I had last year is all out, I was kind of in this phase of rethinking, like, okay, what am I going to do with my Patreon and my streaming and stuff like that, and how do I want to like present that to people? And I guess I'm still thinking about that right now, and I think for the time being, I might turn it into like a donation site or something, and do a GoFundMe or something, and point it towards like uh, the satellites of venue in LA that's has a GoFundMe, or point it towards the EC live music GoFundMe or something. Maybe I could do something with that. I don't know. These are just kind of I've just been in a brainstorming mode, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
And so I came here just to listen, and
Yeah,
learn from people. And
cool.
I've been watching, I've been streaming every morning, and I'm trying to
On
get back
Twitch.
on Twitch. Yeah, I'm using Restream, and I'm kind of trying to integrate YouTube a little more, and get a little bit. That's what I was doing on my Patreon too. I was releasing content and also streaming, and kind of funneling all that there. So I'm just trying to up the um, regular release of content, and so it's sort of also led me to doing a lot of research in terms of YouTube and how people grow their YouTube channels, and I'm looking at a lot of Chrome plugins that'll give you like uh, analytics and stuff of keywords and the right like tags to use and stuff. Maybe I'll share that, because that might be of use to you guys here.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what I've been spending my time kind of researching, I guess. You
Yeah.
know,
Cool.
but I don't know. I hope that's helpful. I don't really know that I have any true answers for anybody, but
Oh no, no, no.
that's
We're
just what I've been.
we're just talking because I just want to get a feel for what you guys are all
Okay,
like
yeah,
working on, so I can tailor it. And
sure,
also this is a mastermind, so if anyone's got thoughts or ideas, but
sure,
yeah. So
yeah,
Roxanne, if you want to talk next, actually, so Kevin was in Transmute 1.0 and
that's
Roxanne was
right.
2.0. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, yeah. Transmute, my favorite. So my life is pre-transmute and post-transmute. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, I think all of ours. And I was just going to show you my notebook from Transmute, but I left it in my studio, so um, like I took crazy mad notes on that thing.
Dan
But
Crowdis and I from Master Track are good friends now, and
Okay.
we definitely are always like
Sure.
looking at our Master Track notes, and
Oh,
it's funny how like actually how different our notes are, actually, just like things that we picked up on ended up being really different. But
Yeah.
That's fun.
Uh,
It helped me realize I really like learning from other people and stuff. So I'll shut up. Sorry.
no, no, please.
Awesome.
And by the way, I'm hoping to be able to do Master Track. We'll see if it's possible this year, but that would be really awesome. I've heard so many amazing things about it. So, but no, I was just gonna say, like, I'm not really at a place where I'm ready to. I don't know. Maybe I'm undermining myself, like, or just like totally cutting myself down. I don't know that I'm in a place to really start selling stuff online. Maybe I am, and I haven't put anything really together. But uh, I was just gonna say, which this is nothing that that you guys probably don't know already, but like on this classical musicians forum for like the New York City freelance musicians that are all out of work right now. One of the things everyone's doing over there is because I'm from New York, right? So um, everyone's like liking each other's YouTube channels and Instagram pages. Well, kind of like what we were doing here, I think. Or maybe I'm confusing all these forums because there's like more and more of them. So everyone's just thought, if we like each watch a video or two on each page, each other's pages and like the videos and subscribe to each other's pages, then at least we can get more viewers to at some point try and monetize for those people that are still not monetizing their YouTubes um, and social media, just to like increase the number of subscribers and all that. So if everyone on that, like it's like a Facebook group that has over 10,000 people on it. So like if everybody does that, we can get like free subscribers in a way,
Ah.
which is a cool thing. Um, but that's, anecdotal. As far as this, I just did I heard a friend of mine do a webinar today about it was titled something like live the musician life that you've always dreamed of or something like that. And she was talking more about like first prioritize like who you are, what you really want in your life, and then shape your world around that. So that's a very oversimplified way of putting it. um, but that's sort of like a great way to just think about it, which is not first like I'm a musician, I need to do these gigs in order to make a living. It's more like maybe think about what kind of place you want to live in, whether it's near water or in a big city or whatever. And um, and maybe address like, do you want to address when you're trying to develop a sales pitch, are you interested in getting like thousands and thousands of followers, which might stress you out totally, or are you interested in like maybe keeping it smaller but making you less stressed and have more you know white spots on your calendar, more free time? I mean, it's just about more philosophical approach. But anyways, I don't know. And as far as other stuff, like I really want to try and take this time to start looking into licensing and see if I can sell any of my beats or any of my music. Aside of developing more content, I really want to see about selling stuff to libraries, music libraries and all that kind of thing. So that's just my own thing. But
Yeah. Cool. Yeah, I definitely feel you on the lifestyle design stuff. And I became a facilitator in this thing called the Joy Money Matrix earlier this year, and so I started to incorporate some of that stuff in my trainings and teachings. And the creative business intensive that I'm going to do has the first session is just all about designing your ideal lifestyle, because that really is important if you can, like right now, I think there's like the dichotomy right now between people who are like, single like me and other people who don't have kids. I know Carmen has kids. So obviously Carmen is, busy taking care of her son. And if I don't know if Carmen, did you want to say something?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So my son's 15 years old, and for 10 of those years, I've solely been teaching music as income. I did like also childcare and stuff to supplement because I love being kids, and it was a good way for me to like have my son with me while I work. And so his dad, we do about like, I have like 60-40, sometimes I have 70-30, with him, but he's primarily with me. And I think that like, finding that balance is about like if you have kids, or let's say you have a significant other obviously working when they work, or, you know, having date night where you like, okay, I have a date night, but I'm working most of that day, especially when you like are living with somebody. Right now, my son's 15, so and it's kind of funny because we were thinking of moving and I wanted to start possibly homeschooling him. But this really kicked him into like, the first or second day, you know, that we were on lockdown, I'm like, here's your schedule. You have to be self-sufficient because you've got to get this done. He's working on cooking. He's, you know, doing his own thing and stuff. He's, you know, kind of being proactive in that sense. I mean, I oversee and I help him with some stuff, but, you know, balancing child work and childcare and work is, it's just about scheduling. You have to be really cognizant. If it's too much for the week, schedule 5 days at a time. If that's too much during this situation, just go for the morning or the afternoon because it can get really overwhelming.
What are you hoping to sell something new online, Carmen, or what are your?
Yeah, I mean, like for instance, I was teaching a little bit online within the past year remotely, and I really didn't want to do that because I enjoy one-to-one interaction, but the drive was really difficult. So I would like to start, you know, either creating something online, and I'm sure there are lots. I know there are lots, but creating a online, you know, library of videos, or even starting to work on publishing books of music, because there's lots of methodologies that work, but they don't work for everybody. I've noticed that in my playing. Not, you know, sometimes it's a combination of them, and it really depends on, unfortunately now, for a child to be a musician, if they wanted to learn, you know, it's only through video, and that can make technique difficult, in the sense of, you know, are they getting the 360? Are they, so I guess for me, what I'm looking for to do is, you know, hopefully to make some type of library of videos, incorporating some different techniques, consolidating a lot of theory stuff in music, because there's a lot of stuff that like is just so long-winded, that the average person is just isn't gonna sit there and do it, especially with online stuff, you know. So it's, I guess for right now, I would say that, you know, I'm learning, you know, I don't know if I meant to check out also Tina Guo's new thing that she has going. I haven't looked at that yet. I don't know if you've looked at that, Laura, but she started doing some other online stuff as well.
Yeah, she's doing some like YouTube videos, right?
She's done some YouTube videos, but I don't know as far as like a course, you know,
Right.
creating an online course.
Yeah,
I guess.
yeah. I don't know if she has. Yeah, that's interesting.
So,
Yeah. Does,
yeah.
does anyone else on the call want to share what they're working on, looking to create, or?
Hello, maybe me?
Yes.
Awesome. I've been experimenting with a lot of different things, especially this past 5 years. Like the beginning of my career, I would say, was mainly to play with bands. So I played with a lot of bands. I played keyboards with a lot of bands. And it was very, very hard to make a living with that. So I made the decision the past 5 years or so to experiment with a lot of different things, including making sound design for theater groups in Miami, doing a lot of work with visual artists, and that opened the doors for me. I was able to find a lot of work, even though it was very hard for me to keep consistency. I decided to go into the corporate world too. So what I did was I started being open to opening doors in different realms. Like I started working with corporates. I started doing sound for, you know, boring events, but that became like 50% of my income, and that allowed me to put more time into my music. And I'm right now, what I'm trying to do is the 50% is covered. like because I do the corporate events, and I'm always learning. Even though I'm just mixing microphones, I'm always learning. Right now I'm trying to develop the other 50%, which is, you know, my artistic side. And that's what I'm having challenge, because work comes, but there's no consistency. It's really hard to keep the consistency going.
Yeah, I understand that. Yeah. I mean, and that's why I originally started creating my online courses, because I just, you know, had been touring and things were on and off, and you know, you kind of just never know when the paychecks are coming. So to be able to, like, you know, have like Master Track or Transmute or some of these, you know, educational stuff, and know when that's coming, I think is really big. Does anyone else on the call want to share what they're working on before I kind of go in and talk about some techniques and things?
Hey there, I can dive in. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Hey everyone, I'm Michelle. So I do sound healing. I've been performing or facilitating sound baths for a while, and I also do breath work. So my goal right now with this time, you know, away from being live with people, is to create a training program, or I already have a training program, but I realized now that we're in this position that half of it can be online, and then the other half could be hands-on. And that's what I forgot who said it earlier. It's, you know, being in person with somebody is really important, with guiding them on how to play these instruments and understanding vibration, because there's only so much vibration you can get through the computer and on speakers when it comes to understanding in the sound healing world. There's of course a lot of crossovers with music and sound. I already have my own tuning fork line, and I do have a little online store, but it seems that all my sales happen in person. Once people feel the tuning fork, they want one. And I consult people with buying instruments and where to start and what types of instruments they want to have, like the proper setup or enough of each type of sound to do the healing work with. And then also putting out my own journeys. I just found some live recordings that I'm going to have mastered and put those out there and finish recording an album and all the fun stuff. So all that is all media content to be put out there, and would love to tighten up how to market that and how to move through putting it all out there.
Mm-hmm. Cool. Yeah. Okay. Well, most of you I know, I mean, Daniella, I don't know if I have your email, so if you wouldn't mind chatting it to me, that'd be awesome. But the rest of you I've worked with, you know, pretty extensively, so it's cool to see you here. So I've been, you know, doing a lot of just like research on selling right now, really, because it's an interesting time, right? As we all know. So the things that I've kind of found from my research from other people that I really have been tuning into are like a couple of things, like solving an emergent critical problem, right? That has to be sold now, you know? So for instance, selling music lessons or production lessons to kids, I feel like is actually a really good one, because parents need their kids to be doing something and are occupied, kind of like Carmen was saying earlier.
Definitely, they need them busy.
So I feel like selling something aimed at children, now is a good time. I saw someone just doing some, like, you know, put out some free YouTube videos that was like specifically aimed at kids, you know, like, and then of course you do the free thing and then they want more, and then they go, oh, well, I want you to teach me every week. So just throwing that out there as a thing, but really just like solving a critical problem right now, you know? So like for me, obviously I do transmute. Some of you guys know transmute. Two of you have done transmute, but that's for live performance. So that actually, in a way, is I wouldn't call it a critical problem, but it's something that artists want to know right now. However, some artists, aren't necessarily going to invest in that. It depends on the level of the artist and where they're at, So
Right
I
now we have more time to work on our live show before we can.
exactly, which is why it would be perfect timing, And so I'm running that in May. But then I started getting all these questions from people which were more business related, right? Like, which is why I've started to do these master classes, and I'm doing a online business course for creatives on April 20th through the 23rd. And so basically I just have been learning all this stuff for the past couple of years about online business and about creating courses and coaching and selling and da, da, da. So I decided to, create this like intensive package to sell to people, right? So they can, especially creatives, and I wanted to make it really accessible, right? So that's the other thing. Whatever you're selling has to be obviously accessible right now. So like I originally, well, a couple things. So from what I'm understanding, solving a critical problem, but then also like having your offer be short, so not like a long-term thing, because I don't think anyone right now can think 6 months from now. They're thinking like this month. So it's actually like, if you have an idea, it's actually good to just kind of like follow that idea and just get it out there. But I wouldn't do like a long program necessarily. Like just try it out and test it out first. So for me, like I actually was going to make the creative business intensive a month-long program. And then I started talking to people and testing it out. And then I was like, oh, this may not work, because after a month, it's just like too much time and people want to know how to launch their thing now, right? So then I was like, okay, well, maybe if I lower the price and make it even more accessible, because that's another part of it, and just do it over the span of 4 days instead of 4 weeks, then, so I'm just trying things too. I'm not saying like I've got all the answers, but, from what I'm seeing, just like things that are under $1,000, under, $500, even like my program's going to be $199 for the 4-day program. I wanted to make it like super just concentrated and accessible for people. And that's of course different from Transmute, which is several $1,000s, and it's like 2 months, and it's, a lot of like touch points and like, intricate like content and work and a lot of different people involved and guest speakers and da da da. So so those are the a couple of things about selling that I just wanted to talk about. Like other things which I'm trying with CBI and also with Transmute are offering your first session for free. So like obviously I'm doing these master classes just to, of course, help the community. And also, I'm talking about my programs in the master classes as well. But one idea that I had was, for the first session of CBI, I could make it so that anyone can come. Like, just anyone can come. And if you want to sign up after that, you can continue going or not. So there's a couple of different ways you could do it. You could say offer, like, you can to have them sign up and pay for it and then give them a refund, which is kind of either way, it's a little bit of work, right? Or you have them, anyone can come to the first session and then maybe not, they can continue on or not. So I'm trying both of those models actually, just to see, because I've seen a lot of like influencers and like people online that are offering their like membership programs, and memberships it's a lot, like in order to have a membership, you just have to have like, I feel like such a big following, so in order to really sell it, because I tried to do a membership last year and it was like, people that knew me knew that it was like going to be good, but then it just like you just have to continue on with the content and like and continually keep it up. So it just depends on like what, you know, model you want. And I ended up realizing like, okay, this is not the right timing for me now. But if you want to continually promote something, and I talked about this on my online course class last week, or masterclass the other week, if you want to continually create content, then sure, a membership is good. But if you want to just like have something, a product that you can sell, then a course is a way to go. And it's just pre-videoed. You just upload the videos to a program platform like I use Teachable, and then you can either have like a live component or not. And so a lot of this information that I'm talking about right now is actually in the online course Mastermind from the other week. So if you guys want, I'm sure most of you are on my mailing list, but if not, you know, just email us and we can get you the content. Let me also just find for you real quick the creating an online course. Yeah, document here. So I'll just share this in the chat. There's a lot of info here. So anyway, but so you've got these different ways to sell. You've got your masterminds, you've got your evergreen programs, which are always going. You know, you've got your pre-recorded courses. You've got your pre-recorded course with the live component, which I did with Transmute. There's like a number of different ways to go about it, but personally right now, like I wouldn't put a lot of energy into creating something and recording a lot of modules unless you're like absolutely certain people are going to want to buy it, you know? Like the live thing right now, because people want that human connection right now, right? Especially since we're all stuck in our homes. And so I feel like right now is the really good time to sell stuff that's like live on Zoom, you know, with where you're with a group and you're all going through the same process and it's a community and that kind of thing. Not to say that people won't buy a course that's a pre-recorded course, but things are, you know, a little bit different right now. So some other things about selling. Yeah, like the help me with this emergency problem thing really works, I think, right now. Like you can think of something to sell that people want to buy that really helps them. And that's another thing, is just like reframing the way that you think about selling, because it's a value exchange and we're helping people, right? We're helping people learn something, we're helping people get somewhere with their business, we're helping people you know, do something with music or healing or whatever it is. But right now, I think it's a little bit of a challenge to do the like, create your dream life. You know what I mean? Which is kind of interesting because Roxanne, you know, we were just talking about lifestyle design and all that kind of stuff, which I think is, you know, I think is definitely important. And I'm teaching lifestyle design stuff in the creative business intensive that I'm doing. And I think it's important for people to jump off from that point, especially if they can, right? Like a lot of us are very blessed and we, you know, do have the time and energy to create our dream lives, right? Then there's other people out there that don't necessarily have the same amount of time, or, you know, have other responsibilities or whatever. So I think it's important to be careful with like messaging like that right now, because not everyone's going to like vibe with that, if that makes sense, you know. Roxanne, did you want to say something?
No, I agree. I mean, it is, I didn't even think about that, but of course it's, you know, just like purely talking about lack of funds. I mean, thinking about a dream life is probably not the most appropriate time for that. I mean, we can all dream.
Right, but if you're like creating something to help people make money or healing, I feel, or just solving like these critical problems, I think is good. It's just we have to be careful. Everyone's got to be careful right now with the way that we're presenting things. And I think one way to, again, going back to the offering the free first session or whatever, you know, I think that's a way to just to give, because right now, like, we need to definitely give, and then sell something. People don't need to buy it. We're not like forcing people to buy it. It's an energy exchange. We're helping them, but at the same time, you know, a lot of people are like doing these Instagram lives, you know, every day, or doing something, and then at the end they're like, hey, here's my thing, right? You know, which is great, because they're not just like coming out of the gate. And like before, pre-corona, it's just like ads, buy my thing, you know. And now it doesn't really like work as much. So yeah.
I had a quick question for Kevin again. You said you were doing a Patreon, or you had been doing Patreon for a while?
Yeah, I still got it.
So what was your, like, what are your core, you know, how, if I can ask, your core, like, fans, like, is it 20, is it 100 that contribute, that help you in whatever capacity to pay your bills? Have you noticed a number that has helped you? Are there regular people, or is it like people that go, you know, maybe a couple months and then they stop, or a whole year and then they stop? Or what's been your experience with the audience that you've had so far?
Most people have stuck around, which has been nice. I think probably because my reward tiers were never super high. Right now I'm making $200 a month from it. It was more at one point, but when I kind of wasn't consistently posting on it, I did see a drop in patrons, which makes some sense. But yeah, it's definitely starting out. It was a lot of like friends and family, people who knew me personally, and you know, the more I was like, you know, getting out there and telling people about it and stuff, and that I started seeing people coming on. I had just had a $1, a $5, and a $10 tier.
That's great. That's really reasonable.
Yeah, and I sort of figured at the time I had made about 8 songs and like little videos to go with each one, and I had made one like a real full-length music video, and I was live streaming, and so I was kind of like spacing out that I was trying to put out one song a month, you know, and have a video to go along with each, and so I was putting them out publicly at the end of the month, but at the beginning of the month I would release it early on Patreon, and so people there were getting things early. And then I was also I write a lot in my spare time. I just like make a lot of little things on Ableton and stuff, and so I was putting little playlists of incomplete songs and like demos and stuff on, and stuff like that was like on the higher tier, which weirdly those people are the ones that really seem to like that and have stuck around. I always thought that was weird, because I was like, these are like songs that are not done, that like sound really bad, but I think it's kind of a raw, like kind of an intimate feel in the creative process. So that's been kind of fun. But yeah, I kind of, it's almost kind of made it into a blog, and I sort of noticed, I've kind of compared it to a tip jar at times, because I've seen a fair amount of people donating to me that don't seem to be checking out the Patreon content at all, at all. And
that's great.
Yeah, I was actually listening to a podcast by a guy that has a super successful Patreon, where he makes documentaries about like video game development and stuff like that, and it's 100% Patreon funded. And he was saying that so like only a small fraction of our the people donating to our Patreon are regularly looking at our like exclusive Patreon content, which is interesting. but I kind of truly believe that, like, you know, if people feel like if your content, if you can consistently, reliably put out good work, people will notice and it will be okay to, are happy to support, you know. I'm
Yeah.
not really sure how it is today, you know. Feel like I was a little nervous, a little worried about continuing to support my Patreon. I feel like it made me look a little like, not selfish, but a little bit like, what's the word? Insensitive. Yeah. I felt a little like, if I were to promote my Patreon and be like, hi, I know people are, you know, suffering, but why don't you give me money? You know, I felt like it maybe was hard to not come off like that, you know, but maybe I just need to like think about it and workshop it a little, like how I present it a little more, you know. I don't know. Does that answer your question? Am I helping?
Yes, definitely.
Okay.
I really appreciate your honesty, and I think it's really helpful because I know people that have done well on Patreon and people that haven't. But as far as like coming from a musician, writer, you know, stuff like that, I'm wondering, you know, how is that working for you? Because, you know, I see lots of different avenues that are happening, and I haven't really had the courage to ask. And to be honest, I'm sure a lot of people probably wouldn't answer, you know.
Yeah.
But I feel that, you know, in this area, people are exchanging, you know, it's like, okay, maybe they will answer my question.
Yeah, totally.
I was gonna write down right now. I don't know if you guys remember a couple years back, Amanda Palmer wrote a book called The Art of Asking.
Yeah.
I love her
So
much.
I don't, you know, just thought maybe, you know, just maybe revisit that back there, you know, because, you know, a lot of people are in a humble position.
Yeah.
So
Totally.
$5 goes a long way. It does mean something.
Totally.
Yeah. And I was going to say about the tip jar thing, that's another one of the points that I wanted to talk about on this call was the love donation tip jar thing. So I know probably some of us more than others see this, you know, but there's Michelle and I were actually talking about this the other day. There's this guy who is live streaming sound healing like bowls every morning, and you know, at the beginning and at the end, he's like, hey, here's my, you know, my email for a love donation kind of thing. I see people just putting that, you know, at the end, like when I was doing some master classes the other week, I was just like, hey, if you want to Venmo me, cool. You know, if not, cool. Like, so I think that's an approach and tactic. Like, I just saw someone offer their whole like Bandcamp catalog for free. You know, I think there's just ways that we can, you know, be like giving and then also asking for something in return, because all of us have got to make money and we've got to fund our lives and pay rent and all the things, and we're all in the same place. So I think it's that fine line of like, you know, like Kevin was saying, not feeling insensitive, not being insensitive, but also along the lines of Amanda Palmer's book, asking for help if you need it. So I think, yeah, go ahead, Roxanne.
I want to say, well, responding to Kevin, what he was saying before, you know, there are a few people that I follow on Patreon and that I give to every month, but I can't give a lot at all. So, you know, even if I give $1 or $2 to 5 or 10 different people, you know, different friends, well, they happen to be friends, but they're all artists and they're all trying to, you know, get something on Patreon and get their stuff out. But just so you know, like I don't always have the time to watch every new thing that they put out. So it's not that I'm not interested. It's just really a question of time, because I'd rather give, if I have to give less to each of them, and I wish I could give more, but if I have to give less to everyone, I can support more people. And so I just think that's better. You know, I'm doing what I can to support more people rather than just give like whatever, $10 a month to one, or you know, I mean, 22. So it's not a question of lack of interest, at least in my situation. You know, it's just really a question of physical time. So
Yeah,
I wouldn't take it personally.
Yeah, I know, totally. I'm with you.
Yeah, so I think, you know, going back to some of the key points, or creating an offer or selling something that is happening very, soon, not in a few months from now, I think is key right now. Solving a problem, right, for people that they have like right now, which might be different from what the problems that people had a few months ago. Especially for like, and I keep coming back to it because I keep hearing this, but Carmen, people with kids, like their kids weren't home a few months ago, so they didn't have this problem. Now is a really good time to sell some things to parents with children,
An obstacle that I have for myself with that is I don't have like, aside from my phone, I don't have a way to record myself. So I would have to do like research and how do I do this for myself? Like that's, some people are in a better position and they might be in this group that, already have the equipment and stuff to do an online course for kids or for people that, it could even be 5 different lessons that you could do that you already have, yeah.
I don't think you necessarily need to, like I was saying, record a bunch of stuff right now. I think the live thing is where it's at,
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and so you could do that with your phone, and Zoom.
Yeah.
Depending on what you're planning on teaching. But I would try that first before you go and spend a bunch of time to create, modules and products. Like that's what I'm doing with my creative business online course. I was like, well, I have no idea, like, are people going to want this? I'm not sure. This is like a bunch of information that I've put together on years of investing in coaching from all the people that I know. I think this is valuable, but I don't know if it's going to be valuable right now or not to people, So I wasn't going to invest the time and energy to record modules and have them edited and make it look all pretty and do all the things, because that's just like a ton of resources and time, So that's why I decided to just make it like live, a couple days, very accessible. So yeah, we talked about like the aspirational stuff. Some people are still going to be buying things in the same ways that they were. Like, not everyone, there's like also the stimulus stuff that's coming in. So I guess there's a way that you could sell to certain people. I'm sure we're going to be seeing like, some people that are a little bit less sensitive probably are going to be like, spend your stimulus money on my course, but I guess there's a couple of different ways of thinking. It's like selling for something right now versus selling for something after Corona. Like we're in it. We're in the eye of the hurricane or whatever you want to call it. We're probably not even in the eye yet. It's like, from what I can tell, the hurricane's moving in. We're starting to get a little like wind, but then after the hurricane moves across and we're out of the hurricane, then it's going to be a whole different thing. And we don't have crystal balls and we can't predict the future. I mean, that woman, Sylvia Brown, she did write in her book that in 2020 there was going to be a pandemic. I don't know if you guys know this, but that's a whole other thing. But apart from her, I don't think anyone knows what's going to happen next year. All I know is that all the concert tours that we work on are like happening next year. So,
yeah, man, when this is all done, people are gonna fucking party pretty hard. I feel
right.
like.
I'm wondering though, I'm like, are people, especially with concerts, are people going to be afraid to go to concerts and be in big groups? Like, are people, not going to want to go be in big groups? We don't know.
So from what they've said, from some of the stats that I've seen, as far as like some predictions of that it will be drawn out, unless they're trying to figure out if people will stay immune and how long, like if they've had it, how long will they stay immune till they can get it again. In China and in Singapore, they are seeing a few numbers going up, but not a whole lot, but still, I have a cousin in Japan, and he was working on stuff for the Olympics. He's coming back. They're sending him back. And also he was noticing that stuff is going, some people are starting to get sick again. So, you know, it's kind of like it looks like it's going to be drawn out for, you know, as far as how much business will resume and which businesses will resume. Yeah. Crowds, probably not as much for a while.
Yeah.
At bars, it'll probably be like maybe like a slow trickle back in or something, maybe.
Yeah. Yeah. So, you know, with that, I mean, we can't predict. So there's really just like selling something right now, and then working on some projects for the future, you know, and just trying to hedge our bets really, and see, you know, what it is we can create. And so, I mean, that's what I'm doing personally. Like, I've got my Transmute course coming up again in May, for live performers, and I've got this creative business intensive on April 20th through 23rd. Um, and then for my company, I mean, we've got no tours, so we've really just got the master track program, which Kevin went to, um, and usually that's live, but we're going to do that online. But then there's the question of, well, are people going to invest in a program that teaches them how to do playback engineering on a tour if no tours are happening, right? So we don't know, you know. So for me right now, I'm just kind of like focusing on this, like doing a lot of these types of master classes with people, seeing what people want, just helping a lot, and just like giving back and doing as much as I can. My company, Electronic Creatives, just started a fund for LA-based artists, musicians, and people in the touring world that need help. So just like doing as much helping as possible, and with that comes the selling part. And I just really, you know, have shifted my whole like mindset, because like as leaders and as people in leadership roles, we can't just shrink right now. We can't just like not do anything, but we have to just be very sensitive and caring about the way that we do sell. And I think that's super, super important right now. So that was pretty much the messages that I got. I think a couple people just jumped on sort of at the end and didn't catch the whole thing, but if anyone wants to share anything that they're learning, or have learned about, selling in these times, or online business, or anything like that, feel free to jump in.
Just one thing on your point that the point you just made. I mean, of course, hopefully we're all like good human beings. We don't want to help anyone who's in need, however we can. But if you are trying to run a business online, especially, or whatever, any kind of business, I guess if you're also trying to be a humanitarian in a time of crisis,
Yeah.
you're also helping yourself a little bit in that you're still having visibility. So if people are gonna join with you, you know, to help others, then hopefully when all of this passes or any other crisis passes, they'll remember you and what you tried to do as well. You know,
Yeah.
so going back to the business perspective, hopefully you'll be maybe more trustworthy or more reliable or whatever. You know, that's my 2 cents.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
I just
Go ahead, Kevin. Yeah.
I linked to these like crowdcast instructional videos that Patreon has been doing.
Yeah, I saw
If
that.
people are interested.
Yeah.
I think they might be helpful.
Yeah, that's really cool. That's awesome. Cool.
Kevin,
Oh, yeah.
Kevin, are you on
Hey.
Laura's other list from the other meetings? I think you are, right?
I believe
Like your
so.
email
I
and
believe
your
so. I'm definitely on a
contact
couple of
info.
them. Yeah.
Yeah, if you guys want to drop your, I totally
I'll drop my
was
info here.
slacking today on the email list saying, because I was like, oh, I know everyone here. But yeah, drop your email in the chat if you guys want to, connect or whatever. But yeah, it's awesome to see you all here, and definitely hit me up if you have any other questions about what I'm doing or need assistance or want to learn more about the Creative Business Intensive or just anything at all. So I appreciate you guys taking the time out of your day to join me, and I hope that everyone stays well and healthy and creative and all the things out there in the world. Although
Thanks
someone,
for doing these.
yeah, of course. I mean, I'm here at home. I'm just doing master classes and trying to figure out the small business loan situation for my business to see if that's a whole other thing. I could talk for another hour about that, but like, oh my gosh, yeah.
It's been nice to do these and check in with people. It's a good way to good for the brain, I think.
Yeah, definitely. What were you say, Roxanne?
Sorry, did you ever get to buy food, by the way?
It's so funny. So many people ask me, "Did you get food?" Because I posted on Facebook like,
Yeah, did Farm Fresh to You come?
Farm Fresh to You is the jam. Oh my gosh.
Good,
Yeah,
I'm glad it worked out for you.
thank you. Yeah. Farm Fresh is amazing, and yeah, I got another like delivery service thing situation happening, so yeah, so I'm fine. I don't have to leave my house except for to run. um so anyway, well, thank you guys for coming. I really appreciate it. Definitely, like I said, hit me up. I'm around if you need anything. And yeah, I'll talk to you all soon. Take care.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thanks.
Thank
Bye.
you.